Adam,
Yeah.
you there? Where are you? Yeah, there you are, bro. What's up? What's up, dog?
Let's get beautiful for each other.
Yeah. I'm good, bro. Just give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I just got to answer this email.
Thank you, by the way.
No, it's cool.
We can switch over to audio, by the way, if you prefer.
No, it's fine. It's cool. All right, here we go.
You all set?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm cool.
Very good. Thank you, by the way, for squeezing this in.
Is this a radio thing? I mean, is this going to... Are you going to edit this?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'll edit it. The show is usually...
All right, cool. As they possibly can be.
Exactly. with never sounding smarter than me, though. Just kidding.
Yeah, all right. That's a good motto for the radio station or for the pod.
Yeah, I do operate out of a studio, but I have to book that time. And it just seemed like much easier just to do this at home because,
Yeah, well, I'm at home. So.
And home is Rome.
Home is Rome.
And is
Rome, Italy. Yeah, right now Rome that's where I live, man. That's where I'm working, that's where I'm living, that's where I've been here for I've been living here for 3 years, pretty much. I've been off and on in Italy for the last 10, 12 years, making films here, making films in the States. But, since Pasolini, I've been pretty much here.
Oh, right, yeah. Which, by the way, I got to see at the New York Film Festival a couple of years ago. That was terrific.
You like it?
Yeah, I actually did. I think you have one of the finest actors working today. You can't go too wrong.
No, you're right. Willem is he's locked in. He's locked in, and he lives right here. He lives right out.
Get out of here. Is that true?
It's a street there.
Is that right?
Yeah. No,
so you got a whole little community there, do you?
A little expatriate. Is that the word?
Well, is he actually? Not that I want to get sidetracked on his career, but that's his primary spot now?
Well, he works a lot, so he's moving a lot. Right. He's married to an Italian director named Giada Colgrande. So, he's here. It's one of his homes. He's still in New York. But he pretty much, the gig we got is you go where the gig is. Sure. The job is. So, as a working actor, he's all over the place.
What is shooting like in Italy? Since we're on the subject, because how far away, for instance, is Cinecittà? Cinecittà?
Yeah, well, we don't build studios. I mean, we shot there when we did Go-Go Tales.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of nice. We had it, because of the nature of the film. That was an all, we recreated a go-go club, and the whole film took place there. It made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But, if you could afford it, these guys are, is a great, great tradition, the cinema here is, rich tradition. The guys really have, it's in their blood, I think, how to make movies.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, and also...
It's very cool for me. It's very cool for me shooting here. I got the guys. The thing is with the financing, you pretty much need, if you're financing out of Europe, you need to use European players, right? And I'm fortunate enough to have a group here that I've been working with for the last 12 years. You think that matches the group I have when I'm in the United States? The guys that I've worked with pretty much since the beginning.
Right, and so. That's something I was going to eventually come upon about this stage, having to still hustle like a madman to finance your films. But the whole industry is so different there. Even as an American expat, you can get European financing because you're working there and you're creating a certain amount of economy, right?
A lot, So wherever, once you have the money, then everybody's welcoming you with open arms. The thing is to find the money,
And it's our loss over here because you're not working over here as much, if at all. So the Americans lose because Abel Ferrara is working in Italy.
Well, it's kind of a new world situation now as filmmakers, So New York is just another Skype. It's a Skype call away. It's a mouse click away.
Clearly. Exactly. And what about distribution? On the distribution end, is it if you're getting the European financing? And by the way, if there's anything you don't want to talk about, you'll let me know.
It's not. I don't. There's no separation really between Europe and the United States. I mean, the movies we make, they show them everywhere. But,
Sure.
American movies are international events, right? And international movies are now American movies, and so the distribution. It's we're looking at the whole world. Again, it's a mouse click away. You're on the YouTube. You're basically available to the whole fucking world. They don't see a big separation between
You're right.
the United States and Europe in the kind of films we make.
Right. Hey, and also I'm thinking about Rome and a bunch of European cities. I know that these cities are changing too, but try to make shoot in New York City anymore it's hard to, the locations aren't quite as, I don't know, a lot of soul is disappearing every day out of this city. I'm not here to trash New York City.
Yeah, listen, New York is changing from the day they bought it from the Indians, man. It's constantly changing. So when you're shooting a different place. So New York is what it is right now. And these places only become the locations because of the story and the vision of the film. So if Trump New York is, or that type of huckster fun New York is what you need, you got it. If you need something else, it's somewhere else. If you need 1970 New York, you better go to Istanbul or build it, or go to Ocean Hill, Brownsville. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. You got to go.
Yeah, it depends on the film. If you specifically need 1989 New York, I mean, I don't know what you got to recreate it. Here, you get a little bit of a break. We shot Pasolini going back 35, 40 years. It was not that difficult here.
Right.
I look down the street. Where I live in Rome, I look down the block, and it's the same as it looked to Nero. It looked the same to Julius Caesar, really. I mean, it's just like this kind of shit here. That they don't let people just rebuild the city every 5 years.
Has your relationship with cities? Because I think of you as an urban. I mean, so much of your work was shot in New York or in cities, anyway.
We lived downtown New York for a long time, so
right.
Our films usually set right outside the front door. So that's what you got.
Exactly. But you seem to have also a bit of, at least earlier on, a love-hate relationship with the city. Kind of spoke in some of the earlier films. I'm just remembering your characters were rebelling against urban life. You know what I mean? Like,
I was rebelling against everything.
I guess I'm thinking about the city itself, like the violence and the grit of the city. Is that something still that compels you at all?
Again, depends on the character and the story that we're up against, that we're choosing to focus on. You know what I mean? I'm living a different life. I'm married. I have a 2-year-old daughter.
2 years old.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Wow.
Got my age, right? Okay, so I'm living basically a lot different life than the nightlife of Lower East Side.
Right. Yeah.
Manhattan.
I know you said you were married to an Italian, correct?
No, she's from Moldavia.
Where?
She's from Moldavia.
Moldavia. Oh, sorry.
Moldavia. You know where Moldavia is?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. When I met her, I had to Google it up. I didn't even know what it was. Moldavia. I never even heard of Moldavia.
Is it
between Romania and the Ukraine?
Okay. I actually thought for a moment it might have been an island, so I'm not quite.
No. Moldavia is like Romania, Ukraine. It was part of the CCP. It was her mother basically was raised in communist. It was like communist.
Was she? How'd you guys meet?
We met on a set of Pasolini. She's an actress. She's a student/actress.
So your world really changed by making that last film.
I came here. We came to shoot the movie because like I said, we shot 4 or 5 movies in Italy over 12 years, but I never, we kind of went back and whatever. But yeah, getting married and having a kid kind of settles you in one place, at least in the beginning,
Yeah. In Rome, how's that for raising a small child?
It's great.
Yeah.
Rome is very cool for us. But for me, it's got the sense of culture. It's It's a beautiful city. The lighting is beautiful. The weather's a little better. It's still a city. I mean, it's a city is caught in this, this immigration conflict that's 6 of 2016. I live very close to the train station, Piazza Vittorio, which is, in fact, I'm doing a documentary about it, which is like the first stop from Africa into Europe. So,
Italy?
Yeah. Italy in general, this is like the first country from where they land,
Are you talking about like more contemporarily?
I'm talking about now.
So like Africans migrating to...
Africans migrating to Europe, Eastern Europeans migrating, the whole concept of, it's not like really migrating, and these people are war, these people are refugees. These countries are racked by war, whether it's in the East, from Afghanistan to Syria to... these countries in Africa, to Mexico, too. I mean, this is the point. I mean,
did they take in a lot of Syrians, the Italian government?
Everybody, I mean, they don't know what to do. The people come, Italians basically have a big heart, but, the country isn't like really, economically is kind of is not in a position to just open up the doors to the third world,
But it seems more.
I mean, in Europe too. This is basically the deal. And then the situation with the, it's the Mideast and that, and but it's the same thing with the Mexican. These are war refugees. Mexico turns into we have a war on drugs. Well, there's a war, and when there's a war going on, there's people that are left homeless, stateless, and are, in transit. So you're going to deal with that as what it is. Or, you're going to, it's not like an immigration when my grandfather left Italy 100 years ago. They looking for work, got to the States, and there was nothing but work and opportunity.
But what was involved in, let's say, you're moving to Italy because you were working here and creating, again, revenue for the country or for the local economy again. Is that how come you were able to set up citizenship or residency there?
Yeah, I'm working. I'm a work visa. So I'm working. And, we're bringing money. We're generating, something. I hope.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe a little bit more, but we're doing. We're holding up our end. Yeah.
Well, it seems like Italy, even though their economy might be really in a rough shape at the moment, like whose isn't. But they seem obviously welcoming on another level because if there's a lot of different refugees or just different folks coming in from different countries that are in trouble, they're doing it legally, I suspect, and Italy seems like they're not.
Well, they're doing it legally and illegally, and it's a big, point of argument and debate here. But, the natural, Italians are just open people. Yeah. They're loving, giving people for the most part, so...
That's been my experience.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like if they had it, they give it. It's when they don't have it, and now it's, the situation becomes rough, bro. I mean, you want to start blowing shit up, you're blowing people's houses up, you're destroying communities. Aleppo is not just some kind of,
arbitrary
Mad Max desert fucking, fortress. This is a city with millions of people. And what happened, I mean, because we don't see the photographs and these wars and all this fighting, even in Mexico, wherever, there are no pictures. You know what I mean? There is no reporting on it visually. When I grew up, Vietnam was on TV, man. But after 1990, I think after the situation in Kuwait, they ended that, so no one sees anything and everybody's bullshitting about it, but no one really gets it,
Yeah, there's such cases where when there's been photographs or video, it makes a big impact. It really makes a big difference in terms of people's emotional reaction to other
people. Right. And that's why you don't have any. And that's why there is none.
When you see the kids' faces, right?
Yeah, you see the reality of what's going on. But now you don't see the reality. You hear a lot of, fucking gossip, being reported as news. And then, So we're doing a documentary on it. So we're kind of asking the guys that are here, the people that are here, at least we're getting it from, the source.
What's the documentary? You're working on one?
We're doing two different.
One sounds like it's on Italy.
One is called Piazza Vittorio, which is about my neighborhood. So it's not just the immigration situation. It's, the guys that live here. Matteo Garoni lives here. Carlos Santino lives here. There's actors. Willem lives here. I live here. So it's like a Washington. It's like
the one you did downtown in Little Italy.
Square, what Union Square was like.
Yeah.
But it's also volatile because, it's well, you got to see it. I can't see it. It'll be done soon. And we're also doing, I did a tour with with my composer of the movies, Joey D'Elia, and the other composer, Paul Hip, players. We did like some rock and roll shows, basically, of the movies from the films, the music from the movies, and we filmed that. So we're cutting that now.
Oh, that's one you already did.
Yeah, we shot it. We're still in it.
You're doing post and stuff. I see. But the other documentary is on refugees.
Yeah, it's on Piazza Vittorio, which is about refugees too.
So you sent me some links to a couple of your documentaries, and then I was grateful for it because I had missed them. And I love documentaries. I'm watching them every day practically. Is it fair to say you're gravitating towards more nonfiction storytelling, or is that something you feel compelled to do at this point?
Well, it's kind of a balance, you know what I mean? Because once we start, documentaries are addictive. Like you say, you're watching them every day. Once you start shooting them and start doing them, it's a very rich format. You dig? And it's a little easier to do financially, and it brings a lot to the table of the narratives also, because what did I send you? Padre Pio? What did you see?
Oh, yeah, that one. You sent me that one. And the one about just was it the festival down the block in Little Italy? I'm not sure.
Yeah, very astute. But that was a while ago. But Padre Pio, was also research because we're going to do a feature film on that. So we kind of do the documentaries, research for the screenplay. You dig?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I've heard of that from a number of filmmakers that they kind of, one guy was doing a documentary project on this literary figure and also a fiction film at the same time. Of course, I think ended up both going kind of bust, but
yeah, well, it's life in the 20-teens, man.
But the documentary, I imagine it's a far more like visceral and powerful feeling while you're doing it. Also, when you're watching them, you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm having a strong reaction to watching this, even though at the end you don't feel as warm and tingly as you may if watching
you're seeing a real deal, man. You're seeing real people, you're seeing real circumstances, and you're seeing, the source of the drama,
Have you always been that way in terms of like you're working, even when you're making the fiction films? I don't know, it seems like they've always had a certain level of, I don't want to say documentary approach to them, but a number of them did.
Yeah, well, we try to keep it real, we just try to keep it real, trying to match the lives of the actors, and like you say, we shoot out, we're street filmmakers, so, we're just shooting our lives, basically. The actors sometimes playing theirs,
Maybe you had more distance from that feeling when you were starting to make, in the period in the 80s when you were making bigger budget films with some Hollywood actors. And
yeah, but the actors we choose always are very, never sang. I mean, I never thought Chris Walken was playing a role or Harvey or those guys.
True.
But yeah, I would say they were more.
Those guys would still work with you. I assume they still work with you.
I haven't seen Harvey. I haven't seen these guys in a long time. I've seen Harvey not long ago. I seen him at a film festival. I gave him some award, but he's cool,
That's a lot of what they do now is show up for awards. That time of the lives where...
Well, I'm not sure if there was the right material. They look like that. I'm walking Chris. I haven't seen, Harvey, he looks dynamic. He looks like he's ready if it's the right situation, the right, right piece. I mean, he did that thing with Sorrentino. I'm over with Willem pretty much, just because, we've done a bunch of movies together. We live near each other. We're doing this film together called Siberia.
Yes. I was reading a little bit about that, too. Where did you do 444? Was that shot?
That was in New York.
You shot it in New York, too, right?
That was Delancey Street. That was in New York.
That's the last thing you shot in New York, right?
No, I shot Welcome to New York with the producer.
So when you were growing up in the Bronx, when was it that you discovered cinema? Were you, not through your parents, were they movie fans? Did they watch a lot of films?
I was a big movie fan. My father never went to the movies, but my mother, she was like, I mean, it was like a classic 50s big, giant movie theaters, and, the matinees were like focused towards women, and, she'd drag us as kids, and it was, you see movies like, what was that fucking movie? Lana Turner, and who was the director of,
oh, yeah.
Of Casablanca, Curtiz. Curtiz shot this film. It was like a black maid and a white woman. Remember this movie?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think that was Curtiz.
Imitation of Life.
Yeah, that wasn't, was that Curtiz?
I'm guessing.
I know which one you mean. They were very, very stylized and brighter and bigger and bold.
Yeah, they were like, but they were films, shot for housewives,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were like melodramas or whatever they were,
Yeah.
But I mean, there was some big time filmmaking going on,
Yeah.
I'm saying this is the kind of movies I'd be dragged to. I remember going,
Because your mom
My mother was Irish. She's beautiful, working class, came from the ghetto in the Bronx, grew up during the Depression, very poor, very loving, giving woman. So,
how many kids were there?
I have two sisters.
And
They're Italian, so it was like, I have a very Neapolitan Italian family on one side, and then a very, the opposite, like an Irish, an Irish crew on this.
I grew up on Queens Boulevard, so I know the Irish.
Oh, really, really, and yeah.
But my parents were kind of a little younger, cosmopolitan types. They both moved in from Jersey, and and they discovered PBS and fell in love with all the great directors, but, not because they were brought up that way, but they discovered it as well. So when I was growing up in the 70s, my parents were into Fellini, and they were big Italiophiles. My parents went to Italy every year. I think their love affair with Italy probably started from the Italian movies.
Wow. And they brought you? Did you go with them?
Yeah, a few times.
Yeah, so, okay.
To Rome. And to...
Well, you know the city, right?
A little bit. It's been a few years, I got to tell you. But I loved my trips, and when you mentioned how loving the Italians are, just on a basic level, how welcoming, and that was totally my experience, and that was why my parents loved the Italians, because they were the warmest people. So, our experience. We went to what's the island again? That's sad. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, Sardinia.
Sardinia, yeah.
Sicily.
Sardinia. That was life-changing.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It's an incredible place.
No, it's beautiful about Italy. Every time you go somewhere, it's like you go into just a whole other place. I mean, it's very different culture. Sicily to Napoli to the north. It's really a wonderful country.
I am hoping.
I'm Italian, so I'm
sure, but I'm not Italian, but I hope that it hasn't changed. My dad really misses those trips. The last time
this place isn't into that kind of changing. I mean, certain parts of it have changed, but you could find what you're looking for somewhere.
And the food is still as fantastic as it is.
Off the hook, it's off the hook. It's natural. That's the key. The food is half the key, man. It's natural. It's simple. I don't know how you can eat in the United States. I don't know.
I don't know either. And I'm raising a kid myself. It's.
I mean, they're chemicalized in everything you put in your mouth. So I don't know.
Yeah, everything's it starts with olive oil, right? I mean.
Yeah. Well, it starts with natural food, I mean, for the most part. And, you got to search it out, I guess. I probably did the same thing in New York, but it's simpler here. It's just, there's a culture of a life culture, how to eat, when to eat, what to drink, you know what I mean? It's a different kind of, it's not, I find it very, very positive for my life force.
And then it's healthy too. So that's
the reason.
As much as I may prepare, for me, it's a challenge when I'm not in the same room. But this is great. But I just I can establish the connection a little bit better. But this has been fantastic, and you look great.
Thank you.
But,
No, we just talk to each other. It's the best thing. I mean, that's the only way to do these things.
I agree with you.
When people start firing these questions at me, it's like, you get to like appreciate John Ford. Like his answer was, "How do you expect me to know that? Why are you expecting me to know the answer to that question?"
Wait, what happened?
I'm talking about, you see a John Ford interview.
Yeah.
And they'll ask him a question that was prepared, that was like thought about, and Ford's answer would always be, "How do you," to the interviewer, "how do you expect me to know that?" Like, they'll ask about courage or, some kind of crazy question.
Sure.
When somebody feels like they have to ask you a question, or, this is the question that's gonna, I don't know.
Since you brought up John Ford, were those your films that you started with? Those types of Westerns and...
I don't remember them specifically. I'm trying to think of which ones were probably, Fort Apache, that was probably way before. The ones with the wagon trains racing across the fucking desert, the Rio Bravo, I'm sure. Although it's hard for me, because I appreciated that film later on. But, these guys, like you say, they were on TV, they showed a lot of movies when I was growing up in the 50s on TV.
Yeah.
That show called $1 Million Movie.
Sure, I remember that very well.
Same movie 3 times on a Saturday. I was young, but I
know, but that's when you absorb it like a sponge, and you can recite the dialogue.
These films 3 times in a row.
Sure. And then you're reciting the dialogue, and you're...
So then you cut to 20 years later, and you're in a theater on Times Square, and the same thing's happening. Because the audience is, that's their fucking hangout, is the theater on 42nd and Broadway,
Not anymore.
5 times a day.
Not anymore.
No more now. So we're making film, we're actually making films for that audience, and that audience is us anyways.
We just need a meeting place again, Abel. We need a
Well, you're living where? Where are you now? You're in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Where? What part of Brooklyn?
Well, right now I'm in Park Slope.
All right. So where do you go to the movies? Where do you go to the movies?
Well, I still love going to the movies, and actually they're building more theaters than ever in New York. To be honest with you, it's actually a bit of a renaissance. And
when I was living in Williamsburg when we shot Welcome to New York, what's that theater that they have there?
Oh, they got the Nighthawk?
Yeah, that was a cool theater.
Yeah, you can drink there, There's now Williamsburg Theater, and I may be actually later today taking my kid to see, he wants to, of course, see the Star Wars movie. He's got good taste, and his mom is an actress, so he's going to have good taste, I think. Or,
How old is he?
He's 12.
Oh, wow. All right.
So he hasn't seen one of your films yet.
Don't let him.
No.
when he's old enough to vote.
I have to figure out which one it would.
He's old enough to vote again.
Yeah. I saw Bad Lieutenant in my 30s, and I'm scarred. So, no.
Yeah, right. You still weren't old enough, right?
No, that was... One thing I didn't want to do, which I could have done, of course, because I haven't said it, but when I was coming up in New York and discovering movies on my own, I told you I had my parents were really into it, and my dad would drag me to screenings all the time because he got invited to like press screenings, or he was in publishing, or he got invited to premieres and stuff. But when I started going on my own, that's when I discovered you, because all of a sudden it was this rich time of movies in New York. I mean, there were so many incredible filmmakers like yourself. So that's when I discovered King of New York, Bad Lieutenant, all those films of yours, and man, it's just a great time. So you're one of those guys.
Early 90s, it was cool. A lot of independent financing, independent producers. Before these guys all sold out to Hollywood.
There was that brief window, right?
There, it was like a kind of a perfect storm of directors and support. You think?
Yeah, there was that brief window of time, right?
Yep, very brief.
All right. Well, if possible, maybe I'll be a little bit more focused. But maybe, if possible, if you have some.
You're fine, man. It's perfect. We'll figure it out. I'm around, so I'm here. All right. And we'll pick it up, part 2. Okay. We'll work out a time. Happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year to you too.